See, of course, he knew it was a Nazi salute, of course.
Time out. I want to calm the temperature by turning to Nazi salutes.
It's a funny line there. Calm it down by talking.
You said about Elon Musk. Let's take a look at what he did, just to remind everyone who may not have seen it.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen.
Now, Cenk, you said it was the most obvious.
Now, they did cut out the line there that said, "My heart goes out to you," which is sort of explaining his hand over his heart and throwing it out to people. But, yeah, I guess you don't have to take care of your hair when you're the wealthiest man in the world. All right. So, I think Piers would have behooved him to play the extra 5 seconds there, but whatever.
Nazi salute you'd ever seen, which I think Hitler might be a bit surprised about, but you don't
really
actually
say
believe
that, did you, Cenk? Oh,
yeah, but Cenk, just to be clear, you don't actually think he's a Nazi, do you? So how can you make a Nazi salute if you're not actually a Nazi and, in fact, absolutely hate everything they stand for? That's not a Nazi salute. It's a awkward thing that he did to say, "My heart to you," that then gets deliberately misinterpreted as a Nazi salute by people who keep wanting to call.
So I will quit, personally, my moderation style is different than Piers, though when I'm moderating stuff, it's nowhere near to the audience that Piers is moderating, obviously. And Piers is trying to put on a show that's entertaining. But notice how Piers will, throw his own opinion in when asking the question. That's clearly not a Nazi salute. The way I would ask it would just be, is that a Nazi salute? Do you think he's an actual Nazi? So just an interesting stylistic choice as a moderator there.
Call everyone on the right a Nazi.
No. So Elon Musk is trolling. So this is a classic right-wing maneuver. It's to get attention. And he knows that if he does a Nazi salute, but he says, "Oh, but I touched my heart. And I can't believe they're calling me a Nazi. I'm the victim. The left wing is coming after me just because I did the most obvious Nazi salute of all time." Now,
so let me start by saying this. Cenk's defense of calling this a Nazi salute is actually the most defensible position. The idea that saying that Elon's a secret Nazi is nonsensical and bullshit. So the best argument you could make for why this is a Nazi salute is that it was ironic, that it was a troll. I still think this isn't the case. It seems to me that he's sort of overwhelmed with emotion in the moment. He makes that motion, and then he makes it a second time and probably doesn't realize sort of how that could be interpreted until after the moment. The idea that, what would Cenk's argument be here? That this was pre-planned? Or that in the moment he came up with "Oh shit, you know what I'll do? Throw out a Nazi salute because I know that this will intentionally change the conversation to me being a Nazi." It's funny, they make fun of people for saying that people like Trump play 4D chess, but I guess that's what Cenk's saying here, that Elon is so smart that he trollishly did a Nazi salute even though he's not a Nazi so that he knew the Democrats would take the bait. That's the argument. It just seems nonsensical. It seems that the clearest explanation is clearly he's not a Nazi. This was probably just done in an act of emotion at the time from an awkward guy. And that the media hyper-focusing that this somehow means that Elon's a Nazi are batshit crazy and haven't learned anything from the 2024 election.
Now, the left is angry at me because I'm not calling him a Nazi. I think he's trolling. I think he's doing it for attention. And he does this plausible deniability. It's the oldest trick in the book coming from the right wing. In fact, when you get upset at the right wing, they usually go, he's just trolling, right? So that's what happened there. That wasn't subtle. And again, I have credibility here.
But what's the benefit to Elon for doing this? If I hate Nazis, I'm not going to troll and make people think that I'm a Nazi. And Cenk says this is the oldest trick in the book. You remember when the Tiki Torch people showed up at, who was it? The Virginia governor? Remember that? And then it turned out they were Democratic operatives. So I don't understand. I still don't understand what Cenk's is for the lulz? Is that what it is? Or this was just some troll, not for the laughs, but to intentionally switch narratives?
Because when they accused so many people of doing this, I said no. When Laura Ingraham was at the RNC and she raised her arm, and they're like, "That's a Nazi salute." I'm like, "That's not a Nazi salute. She just raised her arm. Everybody raises their arm." He did that so crisp, so sharp, exactly like the way that they did in the Third Reich. That's not an accident. He's a smart guy. He's doing it to get to get us to do this segment and for the inauguration
Honestly,
to all be
Cenk,
about Elon
honestly,
Musk.
Cenk,
He's swallowing up all the attention.
I think that is the biggest load of cobblers I've ever heard in my life. But Andrew, over to you.
Yeah, so it is.
Okay.
And so
Oh my
here's
God!
the
No,
thing.
Don't criticize what is so freaking obvious.
Can-
And what if he
Cenk,
put a
can you calm
Nazi?
down while I
If he put a
can I- can I
swastika on
re-
his
can I
forehead,
respond,
you
Cenk?
guys
Is
would be
it
like,
okay?
no.
No, they wouldn't. If he put a swastika on his forehead, we would say that's clearly a swastika. If he makes a motion that literally could look like someone going like this and throwing their heart out, to jump to the fact that, but that looks like a Nazi salute. Oh, man, it looks more like a Nazi salute than someone that would just go, yeah. But that doesn't mean that it's an obvious Nazi salute, but he's not really a Nazi and he was just doing it for trolling, but I haven't given an incentive why he would do it. And that's the equivalent of if he literally came out with a swastika on his forehead. It's a joke. He hasn't given any incentive why Elon would do this.
No. It
Cenk,
does. It's not what it
Cenk,
appears.
can
It's
you
not
calm
what it
down?
appears.
Calm down. Cenk, calm
Yeah,
down.
go
Let me
ahead,
respond. Again, didn't
Andrea.
interrupt you.
Andrea,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
did-
By the way,
didn't-
it's great to
I
have the
didn't
old
interrupt
Cenk
you,
back, by the
Snake.
way, just for the record.
Yeah, I didn't interrupt you, Snake. Just calm down for a second. Let me respond
Go
very
ahead,
quickly.
Andrea.
Okay, so we have tons of evidence that Elon Musk isn't a Nazi. Kanye West, I don't know if you remember this,
I didn't
but
call
he
him a
ran
Nazi.
for he ran for political office when he released a swastika. It wasn't even a swastika; it's just something that looked like one. Musk banned him for it. Musk just went through and did a massive purge. He just went through and did a massive purge of all sorts of people who were considered Nazis or that the left had been calling Nazis on Twitter. It's a big thing right now. All the evidence points to the fact not only is he not a Nazi, but there's no good incentive for him to even do this. What's the incentive? You say, well, it's a dog whistle. He's trolling. He's just funning this and that. No, this is very common, by the way, for people to make this hand gesture. I have it from AOC. I have it from Clinton. I
Yeah,
have it
in
from
Germany.
all of these various people.
In the
And the
1930s.
thing is yeah, I have it from all of the Democrats. Cenk. You can draw side-by-side comparisons. People have been showing you them nonstop. You just don't care. You don't care because you want it to be some trolling Nazi thing when it clearly isn't.
Then why did
He
I
said, "My
defend
heart
all the other
goes out
right
to all
wingers
of
when
you."
they raised their arms like that? Then why did I defend all
that?
the other right wingers when they raised their arms like that?
Because
and so
they're- because
even
the same
Nick
reason you
today
defend
was like
left-wingers
that
when
was
they
the
do.
clearest Nazi salute. And by the way, I literally said even if he put a swastika on his head,
No,
you
he
guys would
didn't
find
say
an
that.
excuse for it. And then hold
say
on,
that.
and then you said about Kanye when he put a swastika on his head, it wasn't really a Nazi symbol. I mean, you proved my point over and over again. So it's a delight debating.
I didn't say
you.
it wasn't a Nazi
And
symbol. I
even
said
Nick-
a swastika. I said it wasn't an actual swastika, but it looked enough like one.
That is what he said. He said it wasn't an actual swastika. And again, Cenk doesn't, again, I'm open to hearing Cenk's side of this argument, but Andrew makes the, okay, if this is the argument, if you're just watching and you have no clue what's going on, you're not really invested in these characters, you're watching this 30 years from now in some college course and you don't know much about Elon Musk or Donald Trump or, whatever, or any of the characters on screen here now, right? And you're just like, okay, so this one guy's saying that was a Nazi salute, but the dude's not a Nazi, he's just trolling. And the other guy's like, okay, but what would his incentive be to do that? He clearly doesn't like Nazis. And then Cenk's like, yeah, he's not a Nazi. You don't like Nazis. But that's not an answer to what the incentive would be. What's the incentive? Cenk hasn't made that argument. That seems to be incumbent on the person saying, this was clearly a Nazi salute, but he's not a Nazi. He did it to troll because, but he never gets to the because.
That he banned
okay,
it.
so
I didn't say
there you
anything
go
about
again. I mean,
not
it's a swastika, but not
Nazi
really, because So look, even
Yeah,
Nick
symbols
Fuentes,
actually
an
look
avowed
like actual
neo-Nazi
symbols 'cause
today,
they're actual
said
symbols.
It's an absolute Nazi salute. Yeah. So look, guys.
No, he didn't
you
say
guys
that.
are
You just made it
fighting
up.
against a ghost.
I mean,
Nick Fuentes didn't say that.
Cenk, as he did
didn't
it,
make a Nazi
as he
he
did
didn't
it,
make a
Cenk, he
Nazi
literally
salute.
says, from my heart to you, or whatever the words were, right?
Yeah.
He literally tells
Touches
you
his
what he's
heart.
doing.
Yeah, that's
from
the
my heart
plausible
to you.
deniability. Of course.
Nobody,
Of course. Do you
nobody
think Piers,
actually believes.
Piers,
Hang on, Cenk.
Piers,
No, Cenk, hang on.
You're a
Cenk,
sophisticated
nobody
media
actually,
person.
including
Do you
you, by the
really
way.
think he would have said, "This is for the Third Reich"? No, of course he's going to have
He would if
plausible
he was a
deniability
Nazi.
and make up an excuse. You
Yeah.
know that.
If he was a Nazi, he'd say, Heil Hitler, this is for you, the Third Reich.
Now, I can't wait for Piers, someone to check that out. Piers Morgan said, Heil Hitler. Now Rob did too. Oh, shit.
My love to you, yes, because he would be an actual Nazi.
You.
Instead,
Well,
he's a
first
guy
of
who
all,
literally
Piers,
a few
you're
months
fighting a
ago
ghost.
went to Jerusalem. He went to Jerusalem. He went to the
but again,
and then he went down to the
but
he went
Piers,
down to
two
the
things.
kibbutz,
Number
which
one,
was
you're fighting a
annihilated
ghost.
on
I
October
didn't
the
say
7th.
he was a Nazi.
He literally went
I didn't
to the
say he was a
scene
Nazi.
of the
You
massacre
keep going back to
of
he's
Jewish
not a Nazi.
people on
It's
I'm
October
saying
the
he's
7th.
doing it for
It's inferred.
attention, and you know that, Piers. As a guy who loves attention,
It's not true.
you know he's doing
I
it for
don't-
the attention.
I don't
so
know that,
stop making
'cause
an
it
argument.
didn't happen.
Debate.
Again, he hasn't. So I guess that's his incentive because he likes attention. That's it. But I mean, again, I would have liked to have seen Andrew push back more. Was this pre-planned? Do you think he came up with it on the spot? What's the argument here? You think he was writing his speech down, was like, here's the high points of the speech I'm going to make. Oh, and then I'm going to use the line from My Heart Goes Out to You and then do a Nazi salute? It's absurd. It's the same old argument. And by the way, I don't know if this point will be brought up. Who do you think's ideology would be more like, forget about symbolism, who do you think's ideology, based on their status of what they think about the nation of Israel, would be more likely to be smeared as being Nazi? Elon Musk or Cenk? Dave, I don't disagree with you. I think that I personally don't prefer moderators jumping in like this. My personal opinion. So I agree. It is, at this point, tantamount to a 2-on-1 situation. So there's awfully a lot of people that would say, oh, Cenk talks about Israel committing genocide in Palestine. That's Nazi shit. That's anti-Semitism. And so does that mean if someone wants to parse through gestures that Cenk's made in the past, do we have to take those credibly? If anyone should know about smearing someone as being a Nazi or trolling to being a Nazi, you'd think it'd be people like Cenk that presumably he's not a Nazi. I'm not calling him a Nazi. But then it's been smeared is akin to one because of his political beliefs.
Debating an argument that I didn't even make.
There is absolutely no way in the world Elon Musk deliberately did that to get attention as a Nazi sympathizer.
Yeah.
The whole idea of that is fanciful, delusional, and deliberately,
No, not as a Nazi
deliberately
sympathizer,
manipulative
Piers.
nonsense.
As a person who goes, me, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's trolling. Do you not understand the concept of trolling?
I do.
So you
I'm
do
very good at it
outrageous
myself.
things with plausible deniability.
But you don't do outrageous things that'll get you smeared as a Nazi when you have access to government power like this. You might do outrageous shit like, oh, I'm the best, Diablo 3 player in the world.
So that you could then come and go, oh my God, I got all the attention, plus I'm the victim because they're misinterpreting me.
Yeah, because when
It's
you're selling,
Trump's
okay,
oldest
great
trick.
argument,
Learn
Cenk. So
that
here's-
trick and
here's
use
Cenk's
that
argument.
trick.
Just to be
You're
clear,
having a
hang on.
nonsense debate about
Cenk,
whether he's a Nazi.
just to be clear,
I'm telling you that he did it for attention.
I hear you, but just to be clear, you really think that what he thought would be a good move as he's celebrating Donald Trump's historic second presidency starting, that what Donald Trump would want on the front pages the next day was not a picture of him as the new president, but a picture of Elon Musk doing what you say was a Nazi salute. You think he literally gamed that deliberately to troll people. What part of your brain
So,
thinks
Piers, let
that
me
is
ask you a
even
question
feasible
back.
from a guy who literally lands space rockets in cradles? He's got one of the biggest brains in the world. He was not deliberately trolling people as if he's a Nazi. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, Piers, let me ask you a question back. If you were giving a speech in the inauguration or in the parliament or anywhere, and somebody told you, hey, go say from my heart and do this exact thing where you even almost snap your boots. You know, he just snapped that salute, right?
He won't
would
do
you
it
do
again.
Would you really do it? And I want you
No.
to do it right now
I told
if
him,
you say you
no.
would do it.
I told him, oh, I didn't tell him, but I tweeted, and 10 million people have viewed my post on X, so he'll have seen it. I just said it was very ill-advised of him to do.
Again, it's the sort of thing. Not everyone is thinking about Nazis 24/7. He didn't even think of it. It's not like he made the country. People do shit in the heat of the moment, when they're excited, when they're celebrating. What's this mean? Many people could say that's an obvious black power salute. You know how many times I've seen athletes do that in the heat of the moment? Yes, they won. Cenk's making it out to seem like every gesture that Elon made, every word was specifically planned out. And would you specifically plan that out, Piers? If you were giving a speech like this? Well, no. Let me give you an example. I might not write a speech if I was one of the people that I felt was instrumental in getting Donald Trump to win. And many of the people were saying that around the world. And Trump wins. And I'm truly excited for that. I wouldn't write a speech for the inauguration that said, fucking A, we kicked their ass. But after I gave my speech and was celebrating, I might say that. It wasn't planned. I say and do shit all the time that's not planned that you might look back later and go, nah, I can see how that would be misinterpreted. Yeah, he's basically an autistic guy who is excited. I can't wait. The game that they're playing here, I mean, again, Cenk provides no incentive other than, well, he's a troll. He's just doing that. He wants to steal the limelight and make the narrative about him doing a Nazi salute so that he can say he's a victim. It makes no sense. What's more plausible? That this guy just did a gesture in the heat of the moment that also happens to look like what the traditional Roman salute was for the Nazis? Or that he pre-planned it out so that he could be a troll, as if he didn't already have a lot of attention on himself.
That move, absolutely.
There you go. So you think it did look like a Nazi salute.
But anyone who genuinely believes he was doing it to replicate a Nazi salute is talking complete bullshit. Andrew.
Yeah, and to just respond.
No,
very
but
briefly,
Piers,
I want to bring Andrew in now. Let me bring Andrew in.
If it didn't look like a Nazi salute, why was it ill-advised?
No one's saying it didn't look like a Nazi salute. They're saying it wasn't a Nazi salute. This looks like a peace sign, but it might not be. I might be in the basketball court going, shoot the two. But does it look like a peace sign? Yeah. No one's saying it didn't look like a Nazi salute. The question is, was it one? No.
If it didn't look like a Nazi salute, why was it ill-advised?
Andrew, he was ill-advised to do it, and I'm sure he'll now realize that. It was an ill-advised act.
Okay, good.
So here's the thing too. This is something that's off the cuff. Cenk's entire argument here is it's trolling. Believe me. That's it.
Yeah.
No evidence, no anything.
None.
All evidence to the contrary.
You don't have
he
evidence
doesn't even
either.
claim he's a.
You don't know
doesn't
what's
even
in
claim
his
he's a
head.
Nazi. It's not my claim. You, the claimer, you bring the evidence. You, the claimer, bring the evidence. Oh, it was trolling? I have no evidence.
The
Believe
evidence
me, though.
is in the
Great
video
argument.
where he does a Cenk Heil
Oh, that's the
salute.
evidence.
And you're saying,
didn't
no,
do a
it's
Cenk
not
Heil.
his mind.
Now it's a Cenk Heil.
You read his mind, and he meant really well by it.
You are
You're
the one claiming you
that
read
has
his mind. You're the one claiming you read his mind, and it's a troll, bro.
I'm
Believe
telling
me.
you what we all saw with our own eyes and ears.
Again, that absolutely spot on from Andrew here. Great point. If you're making the claim that this guy did something morally heinous, in this case, made a Nazi salute with the intent of people viewing it as a Nazi salute so that he could troll them, then you have to be the one to provide evidence, and he hasn't. And Cenk's counter-argument is, oh, so you're saying you knew it was in his mind and it was an obvious Nazi salute. But that's their entire argument. It wasn't. What is, Cenk's big argument here is basically running defense for all the people that are claiming that, making this a huge story. Because if they're like, he's not really a Nazi, then what's the story? This guy's joking around. Okay? All right, let's move on. We got 9 more minutes. I know my analysis is
In
lengthy.
fact, Piers admits that it looks like a Nazi salute. Piers is on my side on that.
No,
You're
I
saying
said it was
even
an
though it looks like a
ill-advised-
Nazi salute,
No.
I read his mind,
Let me be
and
clear.
he meant nothing but warm
Let me
what
be
you're
clear.
saying.
It was an
Fire, they're
ill-advised.
rainbows.
It was an ill-advised
No evidence.
movement of his arm because obviously the kickback has shown that. However,
Yeah. Great argument, by the way.
He did
Believe
not
me,
say,
bro.
as you're
Believe me,
saying,
bro.
as you're saying, Cenk, he did not say Sieg Heil because that would have made him a Nazi saluting Adolf Hitler. He said, "From my heart to you," rather less. I would say contentious than Sieg
He
Heil,
snapped his
which is what you
brother.
want people to think he was
snapped
doing.
that salute.
All
Okay,
right,
Piers,
let's
let me
change
ask you
subject.
one more question.
Let's change subject.
If Elon...
So again, I don't know why it's hard for either Piers or Andrew. I would just say, of course, people could say it looks like a Nazi salute. And looking like something and then claiming that it is. There could be you have to understand. There are all sorts of gestures that could look like other gestures, but that doesn't mean that's what they are. It's only that thing if that was the intent. Did I flip you off? Maybe. Maybe I'm from Zimbabwe, and we have no idea what that gesture means. And I was just trying to show you, look, I hurt my finger. Doesn't that look like I flipped you off? Yeah, but did I? The intent matters in saying if it is that thing or if it's just something that looks like it. People do things that look like things all the time with gestures. And why is Cenk so passionate about this if he truly believes that Elon's not a Nazi?
Thought, oh my God, that's so ill-advised. I feel so bad about that. If somebody was saying that I did something Nazi, I said, well, my God, I feel bad about that if it was ill-advised. Why wouldn't he just say, oh, of course I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry if people perceive it that way. But he never does that.
What does he need to apologize for? He didn't do anything wrong.
If Elon Musk does it again...
But Piers thinks he did something wrong.
No, Cenk, if he does it again, in public that way, then he will be trolling people.
Right. And the reason he didn't apologize is because when you apologize to these woke people, it is never enough. They'll always go further and further. If he would say, I'm sorry, I could see how that would have been misinterpreted as a Nazi salute. Then people like Cenk will say, see, of course, he knew it was a Nazi salute, of course.